Istanbul, a vast city between east and west. With 20 million inhabitants, it's one of the most densely populated cities in the world. Every morning, chaos ensues. At 6 a.m., many Istanbulites must cross from Asia to Europe to get to work. After all, Istanbul is the only city in the world straddling two continents. To cross, one must either use a bridge or travel through the Bosphorus Strait. The traffic there is intense, with 52,000 people crossing by boat each day. We met a group of daredevils who found a way to avoid the traffic. This documentary from Istanbul promises to be full of surprises.
Arkadaşlar, bizim 4 dakika içerisinde suya girmemiz lazım. 4 dakika içerisinde suya gireceğiz. Çünkü biraz sonra 6'da 6:10 geçe gemi başlayacak. O gemide maruz kalmayalım. Dolayısıyla hemen abi 2 dakika bir esneme yapacağız, ısınma yapacağız ve suya giriyoruz.
Yeah, we don't want to be in the heavy traffic in Istanbul. You know, it's so big traffic jam in Istanbul, especially after 7 o'clock. So we prefer to go swimming over the sea in a minutes.
Swimming to work and avoiding the crowds and traffic jams, these men are doing something completely illegal.
Ils sont fous. Ils vont quand même faire 2 kilomètres à la nage au milieu des bateaux dans une eau glacée.
They pack their clothes in watertight bags on the Asian side.
It's protected our...
Once on the European side, they can easily change and walk to work.
Ben mesela profesörüm, arkadaşım baklava ustası, arkadaşım matbaacı, arkadaşım antrenör, arkadaşım kuyumcu.
C'est incroyable, ils font tous les métiers du monde.
The crossing is dangerous. But the swimmers are clearly pumped up on adrenaline, and they even get encouragement from people passing by.
Yani güzel de ben beceremem. Becerebilsem ben de yüzerdim gerçekten. Bu şekilde yapardım.
Süpersiniz.
Gerçekten.
Wow, işte.
We were tempted to go with them, but it's far too risky for first-timers. Staying focused is key. The swimmers are carried along by a current of 9 knots or 16 kilometers per hour. They must stop at a safe distance to avoid being pulled under the ships. With practice, it's become a healthy swim for this friend group. 25 minutes later, they reach the European continent with smiles on their faces. For our part, we had to get in a taxi well before rush hour.
Ils m'ont donné un point GPS. C'est millimétré leur truc.
We arrived long after them. But just in time for the baklava that was transported in a waterproof bag by Mehmet, the pastry chef.
No. Türk baklavası dünyada hiçbir yerde bulunamaz.
C'est hyper bon, mais c'est pas très aérien.
More and more people are trying out this swimming adventure. By chance, we came across another group going a little further along the coast. Going from Asia to Europe is quite symbolic, and the Turks do it every day. However, as it is with everything else in this city of 1,000 faces, everyone here has their own way of doing things. Getting around the rules to stay free is a speciality in Istanbul. While the government advocates a nationalist and religious policy, bringing out the Ottoman pride, we've met people from Istanbul who told us a different story. It's certainly a historic city, but also a city of food.
It's too big.
It's modern and even produces TV series watched all around the world.
Very important job for our country that can affect and change everyone's mind.
We've met some Istanbulites who show their resistance at football stadiums.
Son 20 yılda poligraflar grubunun tamamı lazım. Ülke çapında lazım.
By wearing sexy clothes.
Throw it back all night. Throw it, throw it, throw it, throw it.
Or simply by speaking out, like Barbaros Sanzar.
Put me in jail, they put me in dungeon with I saw other men sin. Otherwise I can start the revolution in there.
What has become of Istanbul, the dissident city, after 20 years of Recep Tayyip Erdogan's rule?
Milletimize fedai can etmeye hazırız.
A trip to a 1,000-year-old city that refuses to conform.
Il y a la police en civil qui arrive. Ils commencent à se disperser.
To discover a city, you always have to start by looking at what people eat there.
Regarde. Petits agneaux. Pourquoi ils sont là?
Ben, on va les manger bientôt.
Istanbul is a nightmare for vegetarians.
Tout de suite, on a beaucoup moins faim en fait.
Cüneyt knows all about it. He's a passionate Turkish gastronomic guide.
Les petits agneaux qui sont là, c'est pour la boucherie.
Ça appartient au boucher, oui.
Ils appartiennent au boucher?
Oui, oui. Ils ont un abattoir derrière.
Ah, ils ont un abattoir derrière.
To ensure that the meat is fresh, people here like to see the animal before eating it. But lambs can also be used for other things.
C'est plus ou moins une demande pour une date.
Donc là, il vient de me draguer.
Voilà, il vous a dragué. Il t'a dragué.
Quand on se drague, on se propose un agneau.
Un agneau ou deux, ça dépend.
2 agneaux, c'est qu'on aime
C'est
vraiment
encore
bien la
plus fort,
personne.
In Istanbul, there are almost as many butcher shops as there are kebab shops. Cüneyt takes us to the most famous bistro in the old town, in Fatih.
Donc ici, ils font que de l'agneau.
Que de l'agneau, mais l'agneau de lait, très jeune.
L'agneau de lait, d'accord.
Hanımefendi hiç tatmamış. O zaman ben ona tattırayım, bir kestireyim.
Ouais, absolument.
The secret of a good kebab lies in the cooking technique.
Ah oui, c'est une tuerie. It's delicious. Tu vois, on voit, c'est hyper craquant à l'extérieur. Et quand tu le retournes, là, c'est tout tendre. Donc, en fait, ils ne la servent pas comme ça, la viande. Ils la cuisent d'abord ici, et après, ils la recuisent.
Voilà. Après, juste à côté, nous avons le blé.
Cooked first and then finished on a skewer, there's almost no need for embellishment.
Bunlarla sizlerden aldığımız sevgiyi, övgüyü içine harmanlıyoruz. O tat oradan geliyor.
C'est l'amour qui donne ce goût-là?
For those who want to try it the European way, as a sandwich, here are a few tips. Take a durum, add a few onions with sumac, a mix of tomatoes and peppers, and that's it. Clearly, no white sauce is allowed.
Ça n'a rien à voir avec les kebabs qu'on a en France, en fait.
Non.
Çok teşekkürler.
Ben teşekkür ederim.
Thank you so much.
Sağ olun. Thank you.
It was really nice. Very nice to meet you.
In Istanbul, food is revered. And with so many tempting cheeses and sweets around,
Geliyorlar alıyorlar. Bunu hep yapıyorlar.
Arrête de mettre des trucs.
it's best to exercise some self-control.
C'est bon, c'est bon. J'en peux plus, j'ai trop mangé. Mais c'est impossible de refuser parce que les gens sont tous plus sympas les uns que les autres.
There are restaurants, local markets, and spice bazaars. The city is bursting with possibilities. The only problem is that the price of these products, which used to be cheap, has rocketed. The economic crisis has plunged the country into poverty. Cüneyt is going to take me to his place to prove it.
On vient d'acheter.
Toi, tu continues à t'offrir de la viande?
Oui, ça c'est du veau.
D'accord.
Coupé en petits morceaux. On fait ça rarement parce que on n'arrive pas à suivre le prix de la viande. Là, ça coûte le kilogramme 820 liras actuellement.
D'accord.
Et regardons, un vieux reçu, il y a 5 mois, tu peux voir aussi.
Il y a 5 mois, oui, c'était il n'y a pas très longtemps ça.
Il était à 540. Donc de 540 à 820. Presque le double.
Not quite double, but still an increase from 15 to 24 euros. For the past 5 years, the Turkish people have faced an inflation rate of 70% on average every year.
Et c'est vrai pour le veau, mais c'est vrai pour les couches, pour le loyer.
Pour le lait, pour le loyer, pour le transport. On doit calculer tout au minimum. C'est un grand luxe aussi, pour sortir, boire un coup à l'extérieur. Hein, c'est beaucoup plus rare.
Ouais, c'est quelque chose qui change complètement le visage de la ville, en fait, à force.
Oui. C'est pas évident de suivre, toujours. Tout est bon. Çocuklar. Voilà.
What is it for supper?
Kunet's wife, Cecilia, is a university English teacher. Since she arrived 10 years ago, her income has fallen by 2/3.
And I mean, at one point in the pandemic,
It got as low as £650 at one of the premium private universities.
I don't like them.
Yes, we had difficult times, but we didn't surrender.
no, but I still would be here with the challenge than be in the UK. There's a way of living and eating and being here that I can't do in the UK anymore. And if you do that here, I think it's priceless.
Even Kunet and Cecilia, who have a good income, have had to tighten their belts. You can see the poverty everywhere in Istanbul. 1/3 of the population lives below the poverty line, enough to fuel the Turkish people's anger. Because at the root of the inflation is this man, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who's been in power for over 20 years. It was him who curtailed the independence of the central bank. However, he doesn't see the economic disaster as an issue. All he talks about is nationalism and religion.
Dindar bir gençlik, dindar bir nesil sizin ellerinizde yetişecek. O zaman sinerjisini Allah'ın izniyle görmeyiz. İşte o zaman hırsızını Allah'ın izniyle görmeyiz.
Erdogan also praises the country's Ottoman roots. After all, these historic roots are exactly what he needs to indulge his dreams of grandeur. The Ottoman Empire was founded in the 14th century, when nomadic tribes from Central Asia succeeded in repelling the Byzantine and Greco-Roman occupiers. And they didn't stop there. For more than 6 centuries, the Ottoman Empire ruled a large part of Europe, as well as the Middle East, Asia, and even North Africa. However, this glorious past also has a dark side that the government does not acknowledge. The Ottoman Empire persecuted all its minorities and even ended up committing genocide against the Armenian people. President Erdogan is rewriting history and reviving the legacy of the Ottoman Empire. The most traditional sports are once again centre stage, as in this footage, showing a Cirit club. Horsemen shouting war cries with javelins in their hands. But even more popular and more macho is Turkish wrestling, known as oil wrestling. It's clearly forbidden to women. We're in a large stadium in Istanbul for a qualifying championship before the biggest competition of the year. This ultra-nationalist sport has some rather surprising rules. The fighters are bare-chested men wearing buffalo skin trousers which don't look very comfortable.
sıfır geldiğinde bunlar çok kupkuru oluyor. Yani normal bir kıyafet gibi. Bu bacaklardan buradan geçmiyor yağlanmadığı için. Biz bunu aldığımız zaman bir 4-5 kilo yağın içinde bekletiyoruz bir gün, 2 gün veya. Ondan sonra giriyoruz.
The whole body is covered in cooking oil. This makes it difficult to grip. The fights are slippery. That's why wrestlers are permitted to grab the inside of their opponent's trousers to get a hold. The aim is to knock the other fighter over by holding their head down while keeping their legs on the ground. Wrestling is a discipline that's passed down between men from an early age.
Haydi Burak haydi. Paçaya yapış. Devam. Koltuk altından soksana Burak.
In Istanbul, you can take part in a championship from the age of 8. The aim is to turn these young boys into men, so the fathers aren't being gentle.
Adam sarmadan geri düşürüyorsun. Niye uyuyor? Kazı söküyor. Niye bekliyorsun? Sarmada yapar. Söksene paçayı. Ömer! Dıştan sen al. Tık hemen yana tamam. Adamı altına al. Ya bozarak Sinan.
The sons are under pressure. Like Bayram, he's 15 and comes from a family of champions.
Ataspor hem peygamber sporu hem de dedemden bu kalan bir şey. Babam da zamanında yaptı. İşte dayımlar falan. Sonra bizde bir merak bize girdi. Dedim ki...
Bayram trains several times a week with his team. We meet up with him next to this large 3,500-seat stadium dedicated to wrestling.
Bon, forcément, il y a des pubs pour l'huile partout ici.
The group of youngsters work on different techniques under the merciless watch of coach Tanzel Urel. He's a retired grand champion who is somewhat intimidating. He's 1,94 m tall.
J'ai l'air petite quand je suis à côté de lui ou pas?
Weighs 140 kilos.
I feel very small.
And has hundreds of fights under his belt. Bayram doesn't have it easy because his family and his coach have such high expectations.
Kırpınar şampiyonu var bak şuradaki çocuk. Aydın! Gel.
Bayram's brother is already a celebrity.
Yağlı güreşin Mbappe'si boyunda şu an. Teşvik 2 boyunda.
On a rencontré le Mbappé turc, sauf qu'il fait de la lutte avec le corps plein d'huile.
However, the real celebrity is Kahil. He's in charge of making the fight announcements.
Peygamberimiz iki cihan serveri Muhammed Mustafa'ya salavat. Allah Allah, illallah.
It's a kind of Ottoman version of gladiator chants.
Alkışlarla diyelim maşallah. Allah derman versin.
He also teaches us the compulsory choreography at the start of a fight. The aim is to intimidate the opponent, particularly with the eyes.
Donc, ok. C'est quoi ça? Tu m'as trouvée impressionnante ou pas?
Biraz.
Un peu?
Mini.
Un petit peu.
We laugh about it, but this sport can be painful. In the sun, the oil burns the skin, and it's a nightmare when it gets into the eyes. Fortunately, the wrestlers can count on the support of their fan club.
Kolay gelsin.
Başarılar.
Rastgele. Hoş bulduk. Merhaba.
Ben bunları çiçek yağı sanıyorum.
Ya. Zeytinyağı.
Les hommes turcs sont les hommes les plus forts du monde.
Evet, öyledir.
Tabii canım
Öyledir.
herkes, her vatan, her millet kendi erkeğini güçlüler ama gene de Türk erkeği en güçlüsü.
Evet, bizim
ama
Türk
Koca
erkeği
Seyit de bunu ispatlamış oldu yani.
Evet. Türk ama işte iman gücünden hep.
Koca Seyit'e de buradan kocaman alkış. 200 evet. 250 kilo.
Politics is never far behind the traditional folklore. Men being strong because of religion. This woman is actually quoting one of Erdogan's nationalist rhetorics. Turkish wrestling has become a patriotic symbol. It gets funding, statues and honours. It's a subtle way of shaping a national narrative. But these strategies extend beyond sports. The streets are filled with nostalgia for the Ottoman Empire. We were quick to realize this.
On a atterri dans un endroit bizarre. Istanbul, c'est une aventure tous les jours.
Every year at the end of May, the Conservatives celebrate the capture of Constantinople. Istanbul has a fascinating history. It was once the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire and was called Byzantium. The Ottomans then seized it and renamed it Constantinople. The city was renamed Istanbul much later, in 1930.
En fait, on fête le jour où l'ancienne capitale chrétienne est devenue Istanbul, la ville telle qu'on la connaît aujourd'hui, qui est donc devenue une ville musulmane. Ils ont des habits d'époque. Je sais pas si t'as vu, il y a un petit garçon juste à côté qui a une tenue des forces spéciales. Bon, là, clairement, ici, tous les gens qui sont là sont des gens qui soutiennent le pouvoir.
This return to the roots advocated by the government is relatively recent. Some supporters still seem to be caught between two worlds.
So this is the traditional hat of the Ottomans. And we are not wearing it anymore, unfortunately, but I want that someday all Turkish men will wear it again.
Why?
Because it's fancy.
You find it fancy?
I think so. Yeah, and it's sad that we are not wearing our own traditional clothes. We are wearing clothes of the Englishman, and I am trying to change this.
But you are dressed like an Englishman.
This is exactly true, yes, unfortunately.
So why?
When we wear the Ottomans, like my friends here, then everyone thinks I'm wearing a costume.
The parade is held in front of a mosque, and Turkish flags are combined with religious symbols.
En fait, depuis qu'Erdogan est au pouvoir, il y a quelque chose qui est très frappant, c'est que la ferveur nationaliste, elle est presque toujours associée à la religion. Et là, on voit qu'il y a quand même beaucoup de gens qui sont très religieux.
President Erdogan's AK party claims to want to re-Islamize the country by reviving its Ottoman roots. The strategy is incredibly effective. The party even controls the entertainment of its citizens. We quickly realize this in our hotel through Ayman, the receptionist, who spends his days watching series on Turkish national television.
Everyone is watching series. Like in all the shops, in all the coffees, in all the hotels.
Now there is another Ottoman for Fatih, Sultan Mehmed on Turkish television.
These are your favorites?
I didn't watch it before, but my favorite before, I forgot. Abdul Hamid.
Abdul Hamid?
Yes. Every Thursday, the live is stopped. There is another one, the name is Osman.
Osman.
Yeah. After that one,
Il y en a 50 des séries sur l'Empire ottoman.
And usually Turkish channel, TRT1, for historical series.
Ok. En général, dans ces séries, les méchants sont les croisés. C'est les Européens.
Telling the story of the good guys and the bad guys through fiction. It's an effective campaign that emerged from a controversy that occurred 10 years ago. It was a series that wasn't at all produced by the state, called Magnificent Century. It showed Süleyman, the greatest Ottoman sultan,
أنا سليمان أبي السلطان يئوس سليم خان,
drinking alcohol and indulging in one love affair after another in his harem.
فيك تروحي.
For Recep Tayyip Erdogan, this was unacceptable.
Biz öyle bir Sultan Süleyman tanımadık. Ve ben o dizilerin yönetmenlerini de, o televizyonun sahiplerini de milletimin huzurunda kınıyorum. Ve bu konuda da ilgilileri uyarmamıza rağmen yargının da gerekli kararı vermesini bekliyorum.
Since then, Erdogan has kept a tight control on television drama. National television itself produces dozens of series glorifying Turkey, with no sex, no kissing, no alcohol, and with Muslims as honourable heroes. It's a huge hit abroad, particularly in the Middle East and North Africa. Turkey has even become the second largest producer of series in the world, behind the United States. On the Asian bank of Istanbul, in the very quiet Beykoz district on the waterfront, there's a huge area reserved for the Istanbul studios.
C'est un quartier super calme, avec beaucoup d'espace. Et c'est ici que les studios de séries se trouvent. Merhaba. Can I go inside? Teşekkürler. Okay.
We need a buggy to get around the 8.5 hectares of the studio grounds. It's like a Turkish version of Hollywood. Huge storage buildings and period decor. It's a fabulous playground.
C'est immense. Donc là, on est dans une ville déserte. Tu veux qu'on y aille? Il y a une clé. Eh ben non.
We're not here to check out the sets, but for the filming of a major new series that is upsetting the government. Since there's still some freedom, certain private channels are able to produce slightly subversive stories of what is happening today. Like Kizil Gonsalar. Red Roses, a transgressive love story that's a hit. It's about a very religious woman who escapes from her community and falls in love with a layman.
Meryem, özür diliyorum ama artık olan oldu.
Ne diyeceksin o İrfan denen adama?
Ana kaslarımızdan, oyuncularımızdan işte karakterleri buradan gelip polis baskınıyla alacak.
Ah ok, la police va arrêter un religieux? Et pourquoi elle arrête le religieux?
Şu an içeriğini çok vermeye gerek yok. Evet,
Ce qu'il faut savoir, c'est que c'est quand même la série la plus regardée en Turquie encore en ce moment. Donc ils font quand même très attention au scénario, c'est vraiment... on a de la chance d'être là.
It's expected to be successful because the series has everything to interest the Turkish audience. However, as you might expect, it doesn't please President Erdogan.
Bu ülkenin kendini sanatçı diye tanımlayan kimi şahsiyetleri inancını dosdoğru yaşamaktan başka gayesi olmayan milyonlarca vatandaşımızı gerici, yobaz, mürteci diyerek tahkir edebiliyor.
Sanctions were imposed immediately. The broadcast was banned for 2 weeks, the filming stopped, and they got fined €766,000. The reasons given were the use of derogatory adjectives for Islam and Muslims, and characters likely to undermine national and family values as well as moral values of the society. However, the filming has just restarted, and we can't resist mingling with the extras.
Je comprends rien à la mise en place, on est en plein milieu du tournage. Je pense qu'à un moment donné, il va falloir qu'on se cache. Mais...
In Turkey, the police are notorious for their fierce repression of demonstrations. But here, the police are relaxed. As for the so-called Islamist fundamentalists, they seem rather relaxed about the precepts of Islam.
Les acteurs, ils sont musulmans pratiquants par ailleurs ou il n'y en a pas un qui est musulman pratiquant?
Tabii ki de. Yok, herhangi bir ırka mensuba ait olması önemli değil. Yani inanç meselesi değil. Sadece onların artık mezhebi olduğu için hani biz çağırıyoruz. Uygun olan, saçı sakalı uygun olanı çağırıyoruz. Ona göre giydiriyoruz kostümlerini sahneye göre. Oynuyorlar. Ondan sonra çıkartıyoruz. Zaten normal hayatlarına tekrar geri dönüyorlar yani.
The man in charge of this huge production is director Omur Atay.
Şimdi çift kamera omuz.
Oldu bu, oldu.
İlk çıkan Salih'i taşıyoruz arabaya doğru.
Tamam.
He agrees to talk to us, but he has to weigh his words very carefully.
On a remarqué que ça se voit dans la ville, il y a le côté laïque, kémaliste, et il y a le côté plus religieux, traditionnel, Erdogan. Non? Et en tout cas...
Our translator stops us, as questions that are too political could get him into trouble.
Est-ce qu'il y a des règles dans les séries, dans le cinéma turc, des règles un peu strictes?
Son yıllarda birazcık bir politik bakış açısı ve şey nedeniyle birazcık cinsel ögelerin daha az kullanıldığını söylemek gerekiyor.
C'est pas que en fait des choses politiques, c'est y compris la décence, la morale qui est contrôlée.
Sıkıntı değil ama tercih edilmiyor diyeyim. Yani satış pazarlama anlamında da işte rating olarak yansıması anlamında da çok tercih edilmiyor.
The TV broadcasting authorities impose fines on all kissing scenes. However, that's not what this series is about.
So, how does it feel to play this character?
It's amazing because it is a kind of a real story. We are inspired from the reality of Turkey, but these characters are still alive and living in Turkey, and some radical and risky lines we are doing in. I'm so excited that I'm here and we did a very important job for our country that can affect and change everyone's mind.
You grew up in Turkey?
Yeah.
Does it speak to
The one who interrupts us is Erkan Avci, a star in Turkey. He's in a very good mood.
Ayakkabı öyle bir ayakkabı. Delikanlıdır hiç.
Yapımcıyla ve birkaç arkadaşımla iddiaya girmiştik bu kadar popüler olacağı konusunda. Çok daha yakın zamanda bununla alakalı 2 tane iddia kazandım. Madam. Thank you. Çok sağ olun.
The ultra-religious fighting against uncompromising anti-clericals. In reality, this vision does not quite resemble what we see in Istanbul. Here, all types of clothing styles can be seen side by side. This city is a symbol of Turkish diversity, and you can see it in the streets and on public transport.
Normalement, on a une carte qui marche.
Here, the boat is a form of public transport like any other. From 7 a.m. to midnight, it's just as busy as the buses. There are 6 ferry lines that are always full.
En vrai, c'est le détroit le plus fréquenté au monde. C'est devant Gibraltar, devant Panama. C'est une autoroute, en fait, le Bosphore.
A highway with an exceptional view of historical monuments, some of which date back to the 6th century.
Et là, en fait, on a absolument tous les symboles d'Istanbul sous les yeux. Il y a Sainte-Sophie, l'église qui a été reconvertie en mosquée, et la mosquée bleue juste en face. Et là, tout derrière, cet immense palais, c'est le palais de Topkapi, c'est le palais ottoman qui date du XVe siècle. Là, on plonge dans l'histoire.
A historical church, a mosque and an imperial palace. A reminder that Istanbul has always been torn between Europe and the East.
La sortie de métro, quoi.
Even today, the same city is home to Turkish wrestlers and clergymen, but also to singers, like this artist, 22-year-old Aysu, with some incredibly daring videos. In Turkey, there's a long tradition of sexy singers, but Aysu goes much further by taking her inspiration from American trap music. And it's a hit. She has 4.3 million views on YouTube. The rising star already has a chauffeur who had to get used to singing while driving.
I've played on this radio before. My latest songs, I've had too many curse words, so they put me off for a minute. but I'm making compromises for the people of Turkey.
Here we are again, in yet another parallel world of the city. In her studio, Aysu is working on new songs that shock the radios.
On my mind, only thing I see is dollar signs. Güzeldi bu. Bu kayıt iyiydi bayağı. Bütün kızlar bu koyu geriye at. Düşüncelerini geride bırak. Bütün gece bu koyu geriye at.
What does it mean?
Throw your ass back all night. That's what it means.
That's a nice program.
Throw it back all night. Throw it, throw it, throw it, throw it.
In Turkey, being a sexy symbol like Aysu is a political act, so she has to be prepared to be attacked. A simple pose next to her grandfather, as in this video for example, has triggered thousands of hateful comments. Even the press got involved, and it's important to point out that her grandfather is not just anyone. He's a former military chief of staff. He represents power in his own way.
They try to cancel me for being next to them. Being like, what the fuck is this bitch doing next to these big commandos? And like, I was on the news and stuff. Like, they were like, stupid bitch wearing a crop top with a piercing next to as my grandfather. People couldn't contextualize my being and my presence with something valuable because I'm an open female, or I'm an expressive female.
In her bubble in Istanbul, Aysu didn't realize that part of her country had become very conservative. Certain westernized neighborhoods are worlds apart. They're generally the most expensive parts of the city, like Bebek.
Les quartiers où une chanteuse comme Aysu peut s'habiller comme elle veut et chanter ce qu'elle veut, il y en a encore plein à Istanbul. Là, on est à Bebek, c'est un des quartiers les plus chics de la ville. Il y a des yachts partout. Bebek, c'est connu pour ses magnifiques villas qui donnent sur le Bosphore. Et dans ce quartier, on n'entend pas trop de musique turque, on entend plutôt de la musique internationale, de la musique européenne.
Between the yachts and the beautiful cars, Bebek is a real attraction for some people.
Il y a un garçon qui a un t-shirt improbable et qui se balade au milieu de la route, là, en filmant tout le monde. Viens voir. Can I see your shirt?
Hi, sure.
Need money?
For Porsche. No, I'm an industrial engineering.
Yes.
I'm doing this for hobby.
Every Saturday, Furkan comes to Bebek to film the cars.
Oh, check it. 9/11 and
Furkan could spend the entire evening here.
Thank you so much. I hope you get to buy the Porsche.
We're meeting someone else in this ultra-hip neighborhood. Miri has been a DJ in Bebek for 7 years. She's a member of the younger generation in Turkey who just doesn't want to stop partying.
We are going to parties all around the world, so we are like learning something, we are taking something from there and everywhere and putting something here different. So we all change the industry here.
Why do people go out less than before in Istanbul?
It gets like very harder, and there is also like political things like blocking us.
They blocked the nightclub at midnight, is that it?
Yes. Yeah, it's hard and funny at the same time. You don't expect in the beginning, but they can just like block your party at sometimes. Like, I don't know, should I say that? When you are like more crazy, you do some more stuff, you know, like in the parties, like the fun and this business is actually like very related to that. If you're feeling like more safe and if you're like, you know, like free to do whatever you want.
Miri always finds a way of dealing with the difficulties.
The hidden place.
Yes, the hidden place. I like it.
She supplements her income with live sets. Like tonight, she's performing in a vinyl record shop.
Ils font des live sets, donc ils se retransmettent en direct sur les réseaux sociaux.
Although the regime is authoritarian, some young people manage to maintain their freedom in Turkey. Generally, they live here in Istanbul. It would take a lot to get rid of the city's rebellious spirit. President Erdogan has tried. In 2013, the government threatened to destroy Gezi Park, a meeting place in the centre of the city. But on that occasion, Istanbul's youth resisted. The demonstrators even began demanding free media, an easier way to buy alcohol and permission to kiss on public transport. A wind of hope blew for a few days. However, all the 10,000 demonstrators got was a fierce repression that left 8 dead and hundreds injured. One man became the face of the opposition, Barbaros Sanzal. He came from a large family and was the most sought-after fashion designer in the Turkish jet set. However, by criticizing the regime, Barbaros Sanzal went over the edge and became one of the regime's official enemies. After several stints in prison, Barbaros Sanzal decided to move to Cyprus for his own safety. It's easy to see why. He was brutally attacked by pro-Erdogan supporters on the tarmac at Ankara airport. His latest tweet, mocking the president's appearance, earned him a sentence of 1 year and 2 months in prison. But that wasn't enough to calm him down. After appealing, and despite the risks, Barbaros is back in Istanbul for a few days.
On cherche le théâtre de Barbaros Sanzal.
He's decided to produce an ultra-political show that's playing to full houses. When we saw the venue, we knew straight away that Barbaros' message was clear. He would not hide.
C'est Barbaros. Un petit peu, pas beaucoup, je vous en prie. Bienvenue. Today is the anniversary of the Occupy Gezi, and the police called me, do not provocate the other people tonight. I said, if you don't gas us with tear gas, we will be quiet.
Il est complètement fou. Il va retourner en prison. With a show like that, you actually risk something in Turkey, no?
Yes.
Yes,
but whenever
definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Whenever they put me in jail, they put me in dungeon with isolation always. They don't put me with the other man's in. Otherwise, I can start the revolution. And each time I get into the jail, I write a novel and come out with the book in my hands.
My God, you are so
Creation
brave.
is never democratic, as Karl Lagerfeld says.
Behind the smiles and the clown mask, Barbaros always has a certain seriousness.
Yeah. Trop de bracelets.
Prothèse de l'œil de personne. He is a guy, dead guy from Gezi. This is the protest for his eye.
Between street fights and haute couture shows, Barbaros has become a boisterous personality.
Which perfume? My perfume.
Difficult to control.
You're gonna put the whole...
Yes, each show 1 bottle.
Je vais éternuer. Putain. Mais il y en a trop.
Since he travels the world, he receives a lot of international support.
Je pense que c'est l'opposant politique le plus stylé du monde, officiellement.
In Turkey, his audience keeps a low profile. However, in the small lounge of the theatre, many have come for a taste of rebellion.
Türkiye'deki bazı dile getirilemeyen gerçekleri esprili bir dille herkesin anlayacağı bir şekilde dile getiriyor. Ben onu birçok sosyal medyadan, Twitter'dan, Instagram'dan her yerden takip ediyorum. Bugün burada olup onu desteklemek hem de dinlemek bana çok keyif verecek. Yaşadıkları aslında biraz bizim toplumumuzun ikiyüzlülüğünü mü desek, nasıl çevireceğim bilmiyorum ama toplumumuzun ikiyüzlülüğünü belki biraz gün ışığına çıkartıyor.
Hocam devlet memurusun, dikkatli.
O yüzden çok değerli bir değer olduğunu düşünüyorum ülkemize dair. Bazılarımız bu konuda özgür, Barbaros Bey gibi. Biz de sadece onu dinleyerek destek olabiliyoruz.
Et vous, monsieur, du coup, vous êtes libre. Vous avez le droit de parler.
Ah non, j'ai pas le droit parce que je travaille au consulat.
Ah oui, vous n'avez pas du tout le droit, en fait. Bon, qu'est-ce qui vous plaît chez Barbaro Sansan?
Écoutez...
Il va falloir faire une réponse politique, là.
Voilà, je pensais la même. C'est tout.
The books Barbaros wrote in prison are on sale, but all the profits from the show will go to a charity for earthquake-stricken villages. Everything here is political. Barbaros enters the room with a candle as a sign of hope. He recounts the evolution of his country and his new life as a political criminal for 3 hours.
Çok içli dışlı olduk. Hatta 15 gün önce Türkiye'ye girerken havalimanında bir bacımız pasaportuma bakarken buyurun dedi. İyi bak kızım dedim. Nasıl yani dedim. İyi bak yakalama var mı dedim. 15 günde bir yakalama var çünkü ifadeyle. Yok efendim.
The audience laughs a lot, but some of the sequences are more serious. For example, the months spent in prison.
Bütün açık yaralar her yerinde, dişlerinin bir kısmı elinde bir kısmı kayıp, idrarından kan gelmekte. Haseki'ye nakledilirsin, her yer polis, çelik kuvvet, silahlı adam. Oradan istikamet Vatan Caddesi'nin bodrumu, ıslak bir şilte.
Memories of Gezi Park trigger a great deal of emotion in the audience. On stage, they show faces of demonstrators who died as a result of police repression. To top it all off, Barbaros even offers a bit of hug therapy to the people of Istanbul. They seem to be in dire need of it.
C'est incroyable. En fait, il y a plein de gens qui pleurent dans la salle. Ils ont beaucoup ri, mais on sent qu'il y a un poids sentimental très fort. C'est un espace de liberté qui n'existe pas beaucoup à Istanbul.
Barbaros is detested by those in power, not only as a political opponent, but also as an out and proud homosexual. The LGBT community is one of the president's favorite targets.
Sosyal, bireysel sapkın akımları destekleyerek milli bünyemizi, aile kurumumuzu, değerlerimizi yıkmayı hedef alan sinsi faaliyetleri kökünü kurutacağız. Biz LGBT tanımıyoruz. Kim LGBT'yi tanıyorsa onlar beraber yürüsün.
However, it is illegal to march with them. In Turkey, gay pride has been banned since 2015. Anyone who tries to put up a banner is severely punished. This year again, the streets are blocked off. Thousands of men in uniform stand ready to intervene.
İstiklalde bir yürüyüş var. LGBT yürüyüşler, o yüzden tedbir amaçlı sokaklar kapalı.
Cafes full of police officers. Most of the streets are completely blocked off.
No entry.
The centre is closed off. The measures taken are disproportionate.
Même si l'homosexualité n'est pas pénalisée en Turquie, c'est dangereux d'être homosexuel en Turquie. Le drapeau LGBT est interdit, les associations LGBT sont qualifiées d'organisations terroristes, la Pride est interdite et la télévision nationale turque diffuse des documentaires pour dire que l'idéologie LGBT, qu'ils appellent l'idéologie de genre, fait des dégâts. Donc on a réussi à être inscrit dans une boucle Telegram qui est une application de discussion codée. Et normalement, on devrait avoir les informations au dernier moment parce qu'évidemment, les gens qui participent à cette Pride, ils ont peur d'être repérés et de ne pas avoir le temps de la faire.
The problem is that there are no updates on the Telegram group.
Bon, nous, on pensait que ça aurait lieu ici, mais comme il y a des policiers partout et que toutes les rues sont bloquées, ça semble difficile.
However, the police were not enough to dissuade the activists. And finally, after 5 hours of waiting, a signal was given.
Ok, donc on vient de recevoir un message des organisateurs qui nous donnent des indices. Donc ils nous disent ne restez pas sur la rive européenne, ça se passera sur la rive asiatique. Donc là, on n'a pas beaucoup de temps pour traverser, mais la police a bloqué les ferries. Donc il va falloir trouver un taxi pour passer sur l'autre rive.
Our instructions are to keep a low profile so that the police don't follow us or spot our camera.
Il y a un petit côté jeu de piste improbable, a priori. On va pouvoir retrouver la poignée de militants LGBT qui fait trembler comme ça la police turque.
The meeting place is far away. The reason is, without a doubt, to get away from the police. We're heading for a trendy LGBT-friendly neighborhood. There's nothing striking when we get out of the taxi, but things start to heat up very quickly. A bit like a flash mob, passers-by suddenly turn into demonstrators. Some take off their shirts, brandishing their flags. Everyone seems to be on an adrenaline rush. For a moment, the LGBT community really takes to the streets of Istanbul.
Ils ont réussi leur coup. Ils sont super nombreux. Et pour l'instant, la police les a pas repérés. Il y a des drapeaux LGBT partout. Les drapeaux arc-en-ciel, ils sont interdits dans cette ville normalement.
But 100 meters further on, the flags disappear.
Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Ils sont en train de tous se disperser là. Il y a la police en civil qui arrive, ils commencent à se disperser. Ils sont extrêmement nombreux. C'est très inattendu qu'ils aient réussi à se retrouver aussi nombreux. Ils ont été super bien organisés en fait.
Things calm down in a matter of seconds.
On vient de vivre quelque chose d'exceptionnel. Ça a duré 3 minutes. Ils ont eu le temps de remonter une rue. C'était une opération commando, littéralement. Le monde reprend et voilà, on a les escadrons de police qui arrivent derrière. Bon, on va les suivre quand même.
Out of 300 demonstrators, 15 were arrested. The police arrived too late to arrest the others because they managed to throw away their LGBT flags and signs. Some activists stayed. One of them even agreed to meet us a few meters away from the police.
Ve arkadaşlarımızı aldıkları zaman karakola gidene kadar darp ediyorlar kamerasız yerlerde. Hani onun için biraz daha temkinli davranmamız gerektiği için bu şekilde davranıyoruz ama şöyle bir gerçek biz aynı.
The reason the marches have continued in Istanbul is because people passing by are friendly. Istanbul is the Turkish city of tolerance and diversity. Ever since we arrived, we've been surprised by the contrasts around every corner.
Ça s'arrête plus. Ça s'arrête plus. Il y a 5 rues qui sont envahies par la file d'attente et les voitures peuvent plus passer. Tout le monde devient un peu fou.
In this queue, there are mostly women, old ladies and groups of young girlfriends, all sharing the same belief.
Yani iş, aşk, yeni bir iş, yeni bir aşk, kendimize yeni bir ben lazım.
C'est un gros programme là.
Evet, çok çalışması lazım. Bu kadar tek başına değil.
C'est quoi vos vœux?
Söyleyemeyiz. Ben ve Tanrı. Peder. Yes.
As every other month, hundreds of Muslims gather here to make their dreams come true in a Greek Orthodox church. San Marie de Fefa. It's said to be built on a magical spring.
Dans la file d'attente, il n'y a que des musulmans qui attendent pour rentrer dans une église. C'est un petit peu étonnant quand même. Vous aussi, vous êtes musulman?
Ben de elhamdülillah Müslümanım ama şu bir şey var. Allah'a giden her yol ibadette. Bunun Müslümanı, Hristiyanı, Katoliği, Yahudisi bunlar olmaz. Bu Allah kabul. Allah'ın herkes kulu.
After the first few hours of waiting, we arrive at a charm stand where we can choose what we wish for at the moment.
Ça, c'est pour l'abondance dans la maison. Ça, c'est pour la paix.
It's a real live Santa Claus list.
Est-ce que j'achète une maison aussi ou pas? Ça fait... J'en demande peut-être beaucoup. Allez, on va rentrer. Bon, là, on sent que les gens ont attendu 4 heures. La tension commence à monter un peu, là.
4 hours to get into the church, and that's only the beginning. They still have to buy a candle and a key to continue the ritual.
Avec ces clés, la file d'attente passe devant plusieurs icônes. Et devant chaque icône, on tourne la clé 7 fois. Mais en fait, le protocole est super long. C'est pour ça que les gens dehors, ils attendent pendant 6 heures. Donc la dernière étape, c'est juste au-dessus de l'autel. Et avec la clé, on suit le signe de croix.
Finally, we get to see a priest who will bless our vows. All these beliefs come from a long history. In Istanbul, civilizations have succeeded one another and inevitably mixed a little. We met Bolka at the church. She's passionate about this heritage. She's Turkish but went to a French school. She invited us into her home to find out about her favorite ceremony, a ritual to ward off the evil eye. Bolka comes from a large Istanbul family.
Petite porte secrète.
She shows us around her mother's house. 600 square meters, right in the heart of the European side.
Bolka vit dans un palais. Mais en fait, t'es une princesse, Bolka.
Oh.
C'est sublime.
Ça, c'est ma grand-mère.
Ah, ça, c'est ta grand-mère?
Oui. Elle était Miss Europe, élue à Naples en 1952.
In Bolka's family, rituals are more important than religion. For some years now, Aynur, who is a sort of shaman, has been accompanying them for the lead ritual. After putting bread, sugar and salt in a bowl of water, they melt lead. The person concerned is protected by putting a sheet over them and the lead is thrown into the water.
Sen de gördün mü nasıl parçalandı? Direkt çürüdü yani.
Today, Bolka's energy is clearly not good. When it's our turn, the lead doesn't take the same shape at all.
Bu arada kendisine çok fazla nazar yok. Belki de hani renkli gözlü olduğu için öyle derler ya.
Tu sais, c'est la première fois que j'entends quelqu'un dire ça.
Ah bon?
Je pense vraiment que ce soit les yeux clairs. Ou bien tu as vraiment des amis, un entourage hyper bienveillant.
The Turkish believe that light-colored eyes protect against the evil eye. But to make sure we keep the good vibes, we have one last task.
Il va falloir jeter ça dans le Bosphore. Est-ce que là, en fait, c'est une concentration de toutes les énergies négatives que tu avais sur toi? Donc si tu continues à porter ça sur toi, c'est néfaste.
Non, mais on va les jeter tout de suite dans le Bosphore. Il y a 3 minutes, j'y croyais pas, mais je vais quand même pas prendre le risque.
Istanbul has been the capital of 3 empires: the Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, and the Ottoman Empire. This city carries influences from all over the world. We're leaving Istanbul filled with all its contradictions.
Je vais pouvoir jeter tout mon mauvais œil dans le Bosphore. Regarde, il y a une porte là.
Letizia is about to recite a formula that Bolka shared with her.
Je jette tous mes mots au fond de l'eau.
Following some rather strange traditions to the letter.
Et voilà, le Bosphore m'a lavé du mauvais œil.
Like everything else that has existed for thousands of years, these things are too precious to be abandoned.